This peaceful farm in rural Germany became the scene of one of the most horrifying and unsolved murder mysteries in history. Why did an entire family, including their maid, end up brutally slain in their own home? Who or what lured the family members to the barn? This is the truth behind the chilling Hinterkaifeck murders, where strange footprints in the snow, eerie noises from the attic, and bizarre occurrences set the stage for this ghastly crime. Who could have committed such a heinous act and why? Let's find out. But before we jump in, some of the details in these stories are disturbing and may not be suitable for all audiences, so viewer discretion is strongly advised. As always, remember to hit the like button, share the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications to stay up to date with the channel. Alright, let's dive into the video. In early 1922, strange events began to unfold at the Hinterkaifeck farm, nestled in the remote hamlet of Kaifeck, near Wangen in southern Germany. This serene farm was home to Andreas Gruber, his wife Cecilia, their daughter Victoria Gabriel, and her two young children, 7-year-old Cecilia and 2-year-old Joseph. They also had a new live-in maid, Maria Baumgartner. Andreas Gruber started noticing odd occurrences around the farm. Footprints in the snow led from the nearby forest to the farm's engine hut, but none led back. He heard strange noises from the attic, found items mysteriously moved, and received an unfamiliar newspaper from Munich. These eerie incidents set the stage for one of Germany's most infamous unsolved crimes. But what was going on in the days before the massacre? The strange occurrences at Hinterkaifeck farm began to escalate. Andreas Gruber found fresh footprints in the snow leading to the farm's engine hut, but none leading away. The footprints suggested someone had been on the property, but there was no evidence of their departure. Andreas also discovered that the door to the engine had been torn open, yet nothing was stolen. Adding to the mystery, the family received a strange magazine from Munich that no one had subscribed to. Andreas assumed it was a mistake by the mailman, but the mailman denied delivering it. The Grubers asked neighbors if their mail had gotten mixed up, but no one had subscribed to that magazine. One neighbor reported seeing Victoria arguing with an unknown man in a cemetery. The neighbor even claimed to have seen Victoria slap the man. These rumors added to the growing sense of unease around the farm. Victoria and the maid reported hearing strange noises from the attic. Despite Andreas searching the attic and finding nothing, the maid, Patience Rieger, quit her job, fearing for her safety. She later recounted how her chamber door would open at midnight, even though it was locked, which terrified her. After Patience Rieger left, a new maid, Maria Baumgartner, was hired. She arrived at the farm on March 31, 1922, escorted by her sister. This was likely the last time anyone outside the family saw the Grubers alive. Maria's sister later said, "I didn't notice anything in the yard. The farm just seemed so incredibly lonely to me." The following morning, on April 1st, young Cecilia did not show up for school. This was not immediately alarming, as she had been absent before. However, as days passed and the Gruber family remained unseen, neighbors grew increasingly suspicious. On April 1st, around 3 a.m., Simon Reislender, a farmer and butcher, was heading home near Brunnen. He spotted two mysterious figures lurking at the edge of the forest. As soon as they noticed him, they quickly turned away, hiding their faces. Later, when Simon heard about what happened, he couldn't shake the feeling that those strangers might have been involved. On April 4th, a repairman named Albert Hoffner visited the farm to fix a feeding machine. Finding the farm eerily quiet and no one in sight, he went about his work but was unsettled by the silence. After completing his task, he spread the word about the farm's emptiness, which eventually reached Lorenz Schlittenbauer, a neighbor with a complicated history with the Gruber family. Schlittenbauer, accompanied by two neighbors, Michael Pohl and Jakob Siegel, decided to investigate. They found all doors locked except one leading to the barn. Inside, they made a gruesome discovery. Under a pile of straw lay the bodies of Andreas, Cecilia, Victoria, and young Cecilia. In the house, they found Joseph in his bassinet and Maria in her bed, both brutally murdered. The murders were reported to the authorities, and Inspector Georg Reingruber from Munich arrived to lead the investigation. An on-site autopsy revealed that the victims had been killed with a blunt object, likely a mattock, a type of long-handled pickaxe. Most victims had severe head injuries, while Cecilia showed signs of strangulation and self-inflicted wounds, suggesting she had survived for hours after the initial attack. Despite the passage of days and the disturbance of the crime scene by visitors, investigators gathered some crucial evidence. They found large sums of money untouched, ruling out robbery as a motive. Strangely, the animals on the farm had been well fed, and smoke was seen rising from the chimney in the days following the murders, indicating that the killer might have stayed on the property. Investigators also discovered evidence of an incestuous relationship between Andreas and his daughter Victoria, which was well known in the local community. Both had even served jail time for their illicit relationship, and this had made the Gruber family many enemies. One of the primary suspects was Lorenz Schlittenbauer. His suspicious behavior during the discovery of the bodies, and his knowledge of details that only the killer would know, raised eyebrows. After his first wife died in 1918, Lorenz Schlittenbauer was believed to have had a relationship with Victoria Gabriel, possibly fathering her son, Josef. When the Hinterkaifeck murders were discovered, Schlittenbauer's actions immediately raised suspicions. He and his friends had to break a gate to enter the farm because all the doors were locked. Yet after finding the bodies in the barn, Schlittenbauer suddenly unlocked the front door with a key and entered the house alone. A key had gone missing days before the murders, but Schlittenbauer, being a neighbor or Victoria's lover, might have had one. When asked why he entered alone, knowing the killer could still be inside, he said he was looking for his son, Josef. He also disturbed the bodies, which could have compromised the investigation. For years, people in the village remained suspicious of Schlittenbauer. He made strange comments that seemed to reveal details only the killer would know. In 1925, a local teacher found Schlittenbauer at the site of the demolished farm. When asked why he was there, Schlittenbauer mentioned the frozen ground had stopped the killer from burying the bodies. This was seen as intimate knowledge of the crime, though he could have just known the land well. Some thought Schlittenbauer killed the family after Victoria demanded financial support for Josef. Before his death in 1941, Schlittenbauer won several slander cases against those who called him the murderer of Hinterkaifeck. Was he a grieving father or a calculating killer covering his tracks? Another theory pointed to Victoria's husband, Karl Gabriel, who was presumed dead in World War I. Some speculated he had survived the war and returned to find his wife and her family involved in an incestuous relationship, prompting him to commit the murders. Despite the intriguing nature of this theory, there was no concrete evidence to support it. Official records confirmed Karl's death in the war, but the uncertainty surrounding his fate left room for speculation. In a region marked by political unrest, some suggested that the murders could have been politically motivated. Andreas was known to be a Nazi sympathizer, and it was theorized that extremist groups might have targeted the family either to silence them or to use the farm as a hideout. Adolf Gump, a suspect due to his political activities, was even considered, though he could not be traced. Given the strange occurrences before the murders, some locals believed the farm was haunted, and the killings were the work of supernatural forces. Strange noises from the attic, unexplained footprints, and missing keys contributed to the belief that the farm was cursed. While these theories lacked tangible evidence, they added to the eerie atmosphere surrounding the case. Another theory involved a mental patient named Joseph Bartel, who had escaped from a nearby hospital. Known for his violent tendencies, Bartel was believed to be in the area at the time of the murders, but there was no direct link between him and the Gruber family, making this theory difficult to prove. Yet another theory implicated Friedrich Harman, a notorious serial killer of the era. Harman, known for his vampiric tendencies, typically targeted male sex workers, making his involvement in the Hinterkaifeck murders seem unlikely. However, the brutality of the crime and Harman's violent nature added a layer of complexity to the investigation. Despite exhaustive investigations, which included questioning over 100 people, the case grew cold. Inspector Reingruber and his team could not find conclusive evidence to convict anyone. The murders remained a haunting mystery, with the final investigation in 2007 deeming it unlikely that the case would ever be solved. Over the years, the Hinterkaifeck farm was demolished, and the exact site of the murders became a distant memory, now within the town of Weidhofen. A memorial stands as a grim reminder of the tragedy, listing the names of the victims. To this day, the Hinterkaifeck murders remain one of the most baffling and chilling unsolved cases in true crime history. The brutal slaying of an entire family in their own home, the strange events leading up to the murders, and the eerie clues left behind continue to captivate and terrify. In recent years, renewed interest in the case has led to fresh investigations and theories. Here are some new pieces of information and perspectives that have emerged. Modern forensic technology, particularly DNA analysis, has been suggested as a potential tool to revisit the evidence. Although the original crime scene was disturbed and much of the evidence was lost, any surviving material could provide new leads. Family descendants and historical societies have expressed interest in funding such tests. Researchers have uncovered old witness testimonies that were overlooked or deemed insignificant at the time. For example, a post-war statement from a soldier who claimed to have seen Karl Gabriel alive and well after the war suggests a need to reassess the possibility of his involvement. Additionally, testimonies from neighbors about suspicious activities around the farm have been reevaluated. A modern psychological profile of the potential perpetrator has been developed. This profile suggests that the killer was likely someone familiar with the family and the layout of the farm, supporting theories that point towards someone within the community or with direct ties to the victims. Forensic analyst Dr. Ludwig Schmidt said, "The brutality and methodical nature of the killings suggest that the perpetrator had a deep-seated rage, possibly indicating a personal vendetta. The fact that the killer stayed at the farm for several days is particularly disturbing and unusual." New insights into the family dynamics and potential feuds with distant relatives or disgruntled business associates have been explored. This angle considers the possibility of a revenge-driven motive, possibly linked to disputes over inheritance or financial dealings. Interestingly, the supernatural aspect of the case has seen a resurgence in popular culture, with ghost hunters and paranormal investigators visiting the site and claiming to capture unexplained phenomena. While these claims lack scientific backing, they keep the public's interest alive and add to the eerie legacy of the Hinterkaifeck farm. As we delve deeper into the mystery, it becomes clear that the Hinterkaifeck murders are shrouded in numerous theories, each more intriguing and unsettling than the last. During a recent re-evaluation of the case, investigators discovered that the murder weapon, a mattock, was hidden in a concealed area above the kitchen in a false flooring space. This mattock was a design crafted by Andreas Gruber himself to aid in the killing of cattle. Its discovery confirmed that the weapon was indeed from the farm, strengthening the theory that the murderer had intimate knowledge of the property and its tools. A new witness account from a local artisan named Michael Pluckle described seeing someone at the farm using a lantern on the night after the murders. He noted that the smoke from the fireplace had a revolting smell, suggesting something unusual was burned that night. Despite being reported to the police at the time, this incident was never fully investigated, adding another layer of mystery to the case. The Thaler brothers were also suspected in the Hinterkaifeck murders. The former maid, Crescens Rieger, recalled how the brothers had committed several small burglaries in the area before the crime. One night, Joseph Thaler stood at her window asking questions about the family, but she didn't answer. He claimed to know who slept in which room and mentioned they had a lot of money. During this conversation, Rieger noticed another person nearby. She saw Joseph Thaler and this stranger looking at the machine house and then glancing upwards. Author Bill James, in his book The Man from the Train, suggests Paul Muller, a German migrant, might have been behind the Hinterkaifeck murders. Muller was the only suspect in the 1898 murder of a Massachusetts family. James believes Muller killed many others. Based on research from old American newspapers, the Hinterkaifeck murders share eerie similarities with Muller's suspected crimes: an entire family killed in their isolated home, the use of a farm tool's blunt edge, moving and stacking bodies, and no signs of robbery. James thinks Muller might have returned to Germany by 1912, after private investigators and journalists in the U.S. began noticing patterns in family murders. The Hinterkaifeck murders remain one of the most baffling and chilling unsolved cases in true crime history. Local historian Hans Siegel said, "The Hinterkaifeck case is a stark reminder of the darkness that can lurk in rural communities. Despite extensive investigations and numerous theories, the lack of concrete evidence has made this case incredibly difficult to solve. The brutal slaying of an entire family in their own home, the strange events leading up to the murders, and the eerie clues left behind continue to captivate and terrify. Will we ever know who was behind these gruesome killings? Was it a jealous lover, a disgruntled neighbor, a political act, or something far more sinister? The truth may be lost to history, but the legend of Hinterkaifeck lives on. If you have made it this far, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video and want to see more, then check out these videos on the screen now. If you have a topic suggestion, please send it to the email in the description. And as always, remember to like, comment, share the video, and subscribe to our channel. I will see you in the next one.